Hi! So as you can tell from the title, this video is going to be all about my honeymoon. And obviously before you have a honeymoon, you have to have a wedding. So I am going to do a video all about my wedding soon, but I want to wait until I've got the official photographs back so that I can include those in the video. For now I'm going to tell you all about the honeymoon. So we went to Rhodes in Greece for our honeymoon. It's called Boutique 5 and it's in a little town called Kiotari. It's on the east coast of Rhodes, just a bit further down than Lindos. So it's quite a quiet area. In fact, the little town had pretty much nothing in it apart from a bunch of hotels and some little shops and cafes and things. So it was perfect really for a proper relaxing honeymoon because all we wanted to do was just chill out the whole week. We weren't up there for partying, we weren't going to Faliraki, we just wanted a proper chill out honeymoon. And that's exactly what we had. So yeah, the hotel was called Boutique 5 and as the name suggests, it's a boutique 5-star hotel. Very imaginative name. So some of the main reasons that we chose the hotel were that it was adults only, no screaming kids at the pool. They had a private beach, they had an indoor and an outdoor pool, and the most important bit, that they had suites with private pools. Not swim up pools, actual private on your balcony or on your terrace pools. So when we were kind of thinking about where we want to go on honeymoon, on my wish list was a room with a private pool, and yeah, we managed to find one and I was so happy with it. We basically envisaged that we would just every morning get up, go straight into our pool and just stay there all day, and that is pretty much what happened really. So we were staying in a suite, it was on not the ground floor, it was the ground floor in terms of you know, the lowest level of all the rooms, but it was still above street level. Yeah, it had a really lovely bathroom, like a bath, big shower, and yeah, a big massive bed. And just nice decor, kind of nice clean whites and greys and blacks and things. So yeah, really happy with our choice. And then they also had a main restaurant, which is where we had our dinner most nights because we were on half board basis, which meant we got our breakfast and our dinner. So we basically ate there pretty much every night. There's only one night that we went out, and I'll tell you about that later. I will start from the beginning. So the wedding was a Saturday. The Sunday night we stayed at the Balmoral in Edinburgh. Just had a really chilled out night there. Wore our little robes, ordered room service. Just like the nice relaxing start to the honeymoon that we wanted. Then the next day we got a train to Manchester and then we flew from Manchester to Rhodes. We didn't arrive in Rhodes until about 10:30 at night. So yeah, we checked into the hotel. It was really late, so that was basically it for the first night, and we didn't unpack or anything. Just got into bed, went to sleep, and then the next day morning, like I said, I had kind of imagined that we would pull open our curtains to beautiful sunshine and go out into the pool right away. What actually happened was we opened up the curtains to pouring down rain. Now, when we'd got the taxi last night, Michael had told us that it had been raining a bit during the day, but he said that it rained for like an hour and then that was it, and that was the first time it had rained in Rhodes since May. So I kind of thought like, oh, a little freak rain shower, that's fine. But no, it was torrential rain pretty much all day. Just completely unheard of for Rhodes really. So luckily, as I said, the hotel had an indoor pool, so we spent most of the day kind of going between like our room and the indoor pool area. I kind of lay around like reading books and just chilling out and generally looking outside at the weather going like, why is it raining in Greece? It dried off a little bit in the afternoon, so we walked into the little town, had a look at the shops, kind of scoped out what we were going to buy people for presents to take home, and found a little supermarket, bought ourselves some snacks because it's always important to have snacks in your hotel room so you don't dive into the expensive mini bars. Yeah, when we were coming back from town we walked via the beach, and because it was really windy, the waves were massive. It was like really exciting just standing watching the waves crashing up against the shore. I absolutely love just going to the seaside and just watching the sea. So yeah, I was like in my element, just standing, letting the water run over my feet. You know, not the kind of nice sunny day we'd be hoping for, but it was still a nice relaxing day. I think I read an entire book the first day. And yeah, then at night time we got ready, went out for dinner at the restaurant. Like I said, we had dinner there pretty much every single night. And actually the bad weather continued into the night, so when we were sitting having our dinner inside, we were just basically watching constant lightning storms outside. I've never seen anything like it where it's just constant lightning, like literally every 10 seconds another lightning bolt went off. I've never seen it like that before. And also like during the day there had just been this constant rumble of thunder as well, as if people were going past with wheelbarrows or something. Like it was just in the air, just a constant noise of thunder. Really weird. I've never seen anything like that over here. So yeah, first day pretty chilled out. First night as well, pretty relaxed as well. I think we watched Oh yeah, we watched 2 episodes of Breaking Bad on the first night, and that was kind of like our routine every night really. So we would get ready for dinner at about 6ish. Our dinner was always booked for 8. So we'd go for dinner. Dinner generally took about 2 hours or so, and then we'd come back to the room about 10:30, take off the makeup that I just spent like an hour putting on before dinner, and get into bed, and then we would watch something on Netflix. Now Greece doesn't have Netflix, so we had to use Tunnel Bear to kind of pretend that we were in the UK or the USA to get on to Netflix. But yeah, that worked absolutely fine. So kind of when we were there, we watched a couple of like episodes of our kind of favourite comedies. So we watched quite a bit of Peep Show, watched some of The Thick of It, watched some of Gary Tank Commander as well. We also started watching the first series of Breaking Bad again, so I think we got through 2 or 3 episodes of that. And then we watched 2 films, both dystopian fantasy films, and actually at least 2 of the books that I read were dystopian fantasy as well, so it's kind of the theme of the holiday. So the first film that we watched was called, oh god, Snowpiercer, which kind of went straight to DVD in the UK, like it wasn't released over here. It stars Chris Evans. It's set in a future where the world has completely frozen, and the remaining survivors are on this high-speed train that is just travelling around the world. And on the train, it's kind of split into 2 different classes, kind of like Titanic really. So you've got like your first class passengers who are having a great time. They've got like loads of food, they're all dressed fancy, they've got like nightclubs and stuff. And then at the other end, you've got your lower class passengers who are basically living in like hell. They're all cramped in these like bunk beds. All they get to eat are these like protein bars that look like bars of soap. And they're just not having a very good time basically. And the person who's running this train is this like mysterious man behind the curtain type character, a bit like Wizard of Oz. And he's the one that kind of built this train and is running the engine. Passengers in the lower class kind of decide to revolt because they want to go and meet this mysterious man, and kind of want to take over the train really. And so most of the story is just about them moving from the end of the train to the front, like moving through all these different carriages and like, you know, breaking their way through. It's okay. I mean, the ending wasn't great, but I really like those sort of post-apocalyptic type films. I just find the whole kind of thing quite fascinating. And also, the one saving grace of the film is Tilda Swinton, who plays kind of like the right-hand woman of the mysterious engine man. But she is just playing this like completely over-the-top character. She's got this like ridiculous Yorkshire accent. She's got like these big false teeth. She looks like Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and it is just hilarious. She's just so funny. Every scene she is in is hilarious, so it is worth watching for her alone. In general, the film's kind of like a bit so-so. The other dystopian film that we watched was Hunger Games: Catching Fire. I'd only ever seen the first one, went to see it at the cinema when it came out, so that was quite a few years ago now. And I've been meaning to watch this one for ages, so we finally got around to watching it. The US Netflix actually doesn't have Mockingjay Part 1, so I didn't think anyone had it, because we kind of looked and I was like, oh, they've just got Catching Fire, so we'll watch that. But since coming home and going on Netflix here, I've realised that the UK one does have Part 1, so I'm going to watch that at some point soon, because I'm quite into Hunger Games. I've not read any of the books, but I'm into the films. So yeah, basically our routine every night was dinner, come home, watch Netflix. Yeah, we live a very exciting life, clearly. Okay, so back to the kind of the week. Wednesday was next, and this was the day that we got our pulling back the curtains, bright sunshine moment. So as soon as we'd had breakfast, we came back and we're in our private pool, which yeah, was as much fun as you would expect it to be. Having your own pool where you could just get into at any point was amazing. I'm so glad that we chose this hotel. The only thing was it wasn't heated, so it was just a freshwater pool, which meant when you first got in it, it was absolutely freezing. But when it's like 30 degrees, you know, you kind of need that cold water to get into to kind of cool you off a little bit. So yeah, we spent most of the day just kind of going from the pool to lying by the side reading books, then back in the pool, and then coming out again. Then by the time it got to lunchtime, we walked into town and bought ourselves a Lilo, because we'd seen a couple, like a few floors above us, had a Lilo at their pool, and we're like, we want a Lilo. So we went and bought a Lilo and then spent a good like half an hour trying to work out how to get on it. I've got some quite funny clips of Blair attempting to climb on the Lilo. Eventually discovered though that the way to do it was to have the Lilo kind of half lying in the pool, half on the side, and then you climbed on and the other person pulled you in the rest of the way. And actually I managed to master the art of just diving on it in the pool and swinging my legs around so that I was lying on my front. That did take quite a few attempts, but I eventually managed to get that down. So yeah, most of Wednesday was spent at our private pool. We then went to the indoor pool in the afternoon, and actually, considering that the hotel has about like 40 rooms, during the day you would think that there was nobody there. We pretty much had the entire indoor pool to ourselves every afternoon. You would only ever see 1 or 2 other couples there at the same time, and generally they would just be like lying at the side, not actually in the pool. It was so bizarre, like it was just like an absolute ghost town during the day. The only time you really saw people was breakfast and dinner. And then the rest of the day, I don't know what they were doing. There's just like nobody around anywhere, which is great for us because it meant that we had the place to ourselves basically. And we kind of got ourselves into this little routine of every afternoon going down to the indoor pool for about 3ish, and we would like swim some lengths in the pool and then go into the jacuzzi and then go into the sauna and then the steam room and then back into the pool again, and just doing a complete like circle of that. And we like created some little pool games for ourselves. So we'd kind of do like racing each other on lengths. We would do this thing called water taxi, where you would carry the other person from one end of the pool to the other, either in like a kind of on their back, or we did a wheelbarrow one time, or like just carrying them on your front. I could only carry Blair on my front. I tried to do it on my back, but I just started drowning basically. So yeah, games like that. Just, you know, just usual stuff that normal 30-year-olds do, you know, playing games in the pool. Everyone finds different ways of entertaining themselves. And for us, apparently, it is pretending to be taxi drivers. Yeah, that's Wednesday. Another, you know, same thing in the evening again, back to the room, get changed, go to dinner, come back, Netflix. Thursday, we had something different planned, so I booked us a tour of the island online. I found a company called Nicholas's Tours, and basically it's just private tours where they'll come and pick you up in a car and you can do a full day or a half day tour of the island. So we chose a half day tour, and he picked us up at like 9 o'clock in the morning. We drove up the east coast, and he was kind of telling us stories about the island, and we would stop every so often at like photo points where he would take pictures for us. You know, like we stopped at a bit where you could see this monastery in the top of a hill. He took us through Faliraki, and actually it was really interesting hearing about how Faliraki's changed in the last few years, because I went there when I was 18 for my first like girls' holiday, and yeah, it was proper like party town, you know, just clubs everywhere, people out drinking till like 5 o'clock in the morning. But now apparently it's completely changed. So there was an incident, or a series of incidents a couple of years ago, where, you know, there's a lot of fighting going on and some people were killed in clubs through like people glassing them and stuff, and the mayor basically decided they'd had enough, so they stopped allowing 18 to 30s and 20s operating hotels in the area, and then they closed down a bunch of the clubs and kind of turned them into like shops and restaurants and things, and then just started to really market to families and couples. So that's now kind of what their demographic is. There are still clubs and there are still bars and things, but the licensing is different, so you can't, you know, be open as late, you can't have loads of drinks promos, you can't have music playing outside after a certain time. So it's very much like the place you would go with families or like for couples. So yeah, it's just a completely different atmosphere now, and it looks completely different as well. It's not like club anymore. There's like Chinese restaurant, big shop, there's a bar, you know, it looks quite different. So I was quite surprised. I didn't know about that. I didn't realise that you could go on 18 to 30 holidays to Faliraki anymore. Yeah, so that was quite interesting. The main part of that day was spent in the Rhodes Old Town, which is the historic part of the island. So we got dropped off just like at the kind of entrance to the city walls, and we were given 2 hours to walk around and do what we wanted. So yeah, we kind of wandered around. There's lots of little shops and cafes and things, but then also there's lots of like historic points to go and look at, and there's like the Grand Palace, which is kind of the main attraction in there, and there's like churches and things. So we kind of spent quite a while going around that. Got a little bit lost at first and kind of ended up in this maze of streets, and then got pulled into this shop and ended up buying me a bracelet. But yeah, it was good fun. We sort of wandered around. By the time it got to like, I think we had about half an hour until we're getting picked up again, that we're kind of starting to feel a little bit hot and tired, so we stopped for a drink at a little bar, and then made our way round to the pickup point. And then after we did that, we kind of went to the most northerly part of the island, where you get like a really good view across to Turkey, We saw the Acropolis, and then we kind of came all the way back again, stopped off at this viewpoint for Lindos and St Paul's Bay. Both of them look so beautiful. We originally did plan on coming back another afternoon to go to Lindos just by ourselves, but we kind of got to like Saturday afternoon and we're like, should we go to Lindos or will we just stay here and kind of relax by the pool? And relaxing by the pool won. Maybe one day we will go back to Rhodes again and we'll get to Lindos, but we decided to just stick to having a relaxing second half of the week. And actually I met with my friend Sam the other day, who's been there before, and she says that Lindos was really hilly, so I'm quite glad we didn't actually go, because I was grumpy enough walking the 15 minutes into the little village in 30-degree heat. So I think if I'd had to do hill climbing, I would have been like an absolute nightmare. And when we got back on Thursday after our tour, it was like 2:30ish, so we went for lunch at this little beach cafe, which was just actually opposite our hotel, and it was right on the beach. So we went there, got some food, had some cocktails. So yeah, after the beach cafe, we went back to our pool and into the indoor pool for a little bit. Then yeah, just the same kind of nightly routine as the other days. Friday, we started the day same as Wednesday, spent most of the morning by our private pool, playing about with our lilos and like sitting by the side, reading books, etc. And then we went down to the private beach in the afternoon. This is actually where I think most of the guests were hanging out. Because yeah, it was like the busiest place that we'd seen so far. There was loads of people out by the beach, so that's obviously where they were all spending their time. Yeah, we kind of sat by the beach for a little bit. I tried walking into the sea, but it's a pebble beach, so it's quite hard to actually walk on the sand without just sinking in. And I think you really need like proper beach shoes. Like we saw some people wearing like waterproof trainer things on their feet, and I think that's kind of what you needed to wear to get into the sea, because I had flip-flops on and they just basically kept washing away in the water. And then when I went into my bare feet, I just kept sinking in, so it wasn't ideal. But yeah, I enjoyed sitting by the beach. I love just sitting by the sea in general. It's good fun. And yeah, then Friday night went for dinner again. There was a saxophonist playing on the Friday night. Neither Blair or I are fans of saxophone music though, so we kind of chose a table inside so we didn't have to have it blaring full blast in our ears. And yeah, then came back, and I think actually it was Friday that we watched Hunger Games, so that was the plan for the evening. On Saturday, it was the same kind of routine. I mean, pretty much every day we were just really at our private pool for a bit. Then we went to like the indoor pool for a little bit and then back, and yeah, it was just kind of, it sounds very boring, but you know, if you're on holiday and you've got your own pool, who isn't going to spend most of their time just hanging out beside it or in it? So yeah, that again was our routine for Saturday. In the evening though, we did something different. We went into Kiotari, the little town where our hotel was, and went for dinner at this little Italian restaurant called Capita Pizza. So we had decided that we were going to go out one night, and I looked on TripAdvisor. This was the top rated restaurant, the reviews were great, and both of us love Italian, so we're like, yeah, definitely going to go there. We went there and it was lovely. It was like a really like nice little family run place. We sat outside with the view of the beach. The food was incredible. It was one of the best pasta dishes I've ever had. It was so nice, and the tiramisu was amazing as well, and just yeah, it was a lovely place. And to top it off, we were getting our bill, we asked our waitress if she would be able to phone us a taxi, and she was like, oh no, and then she came back and her uncle basically offered to drive us home. So we got a lift home from the uncle of the owner of the restaurant, which was just lovely. You wouldn't get that happening here. In fact, in general, everyone we met in Greece, like from taxi drivers to people who worked in restaurants or shops or the people at the hotel, just everyone was so lovely. You know, could not fault their like service and manners and everything. Everyone was really nice. Yeah, Saturday night was something a little bit different. It was nice to go out and kind of do something other than have dinner at the restaurant like we had every other night. Although the food at the restaurant was amazing. I did really enjoy that, but it was nice to do something a bit different. Sunday was our last full day at the hotel, so again we tried to make the most of our private pool. We spent all the morning there. The afternoon we then went to the outdoor pool for a little bit because we hadn't been to that yet. Again, nobody else there, completely dead. So we had a little bit of swim there, and then we went down to the beach for a little bit, just trying to kind of get around everything before we had to go home. And then again, finished off in the indoor pool. And after our last dinner, we packed up and then watched some Netflix, can't remember what we watched, something. Yeah, then that was it. Went to bed, woke up in the morning, had our last breakfast by the pool. Then it was like 9 o'clock taxi out to get the flight home. And it was a really long day coming home actually, because our flight was like 12 or just before 12. And then we got to London, we had to fly via London this time coming back because there aren't any direct flights to Edinburgh. So we flew back to London. We then had a 4-hour train from London into Edinburgh. But we got off at Dunbar on the way, and then my mum and dad came and picked us up, and then we'd drive back to our house. So eventually we got back to our flat in Edinburgh at like 11 o'clock at night, and we'd left the hotel at 9 AM Greece time. So that's 7 AM UK time. So it's a very, very long day. And yeah, I'm one of those people who's just like, I absolutely hate travelling home. I like travelling to places, but as soon as it's a travelling home situation, I'm just like, I want to be home right now. I do not want to have to do all this travelling. So I'm just never in a very good mood. And I was starting to feel quite ill. I'd caught a cold like on the last day of the holiday. And you can kind of hear I've still got like a bit of a blocked nose and stuff now. And yeah, I was just like not in the mood at all. I tried sleeping on the train home, but there was just like a whole like entire high school class of kids on the train, like all surrounding us, that were being really, really noisy. And yeah, in general I was just kind of feeling quite sad that it was all over because it just flew by so quickly. We were there for a week, but yeah, it just disappeared like that. So I had an amazing time though. We both loved it so much, and I'm so glad that we chose that hotel because it really was everything you could possibly want from a honeymoon hotel, and the staff and everything were so, so nice. Food was great. We had our own bloody pool, you know, you can't really ask for anything more than that. So yeah, I had a great time. I'm sad to be home now, but at least I had a nice time. So I hope you enjoyed a little glimpse into my honeymoon. Like I said, I'm going to be telling you all about my wedding soon. Just going to wait till I've got the pictures back for that, and then it'll be probably a very long rambly video like this with lots of photos. We also had a video made of the wedding as well, so when we get that I might put like a short version up on my channel. I'll kind of speak to Blair and see how he feels about that, but yeah, I'd quite like to share something. So, okay, I'm gonna go now. It is very dark, I'm sorry, you probably can hardly see me. But yes, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!